Hello there. I said, hello there.
Oh. Hello? Who are you?
I am a tiny gnome. Would you
Yes,
like
I
to
can
bite?
see that you're a tiny gnome, but what's your name?
That's not what I said. I am a tiny gnome. Alan Tiny Gnome. It's a family name. I thought it sounded more professional to use my initial. I'm actually average sized for a gnome.
Oh, sorry.
That's quite all right, madam. Now, are you in the market for some insurance? For example, might you be interested in some home insurance?
Oh, I already have home insurance. I'm covered for fire, flood, theft.
Ah, but are you covered for transmogrification?
What?
Did you know that transmogrification cases in your area have increased by 300% in the last quarter?
No, I just don't.
I know the statistics are quite startling, madam, but I assure you that my research is thoroughly up to date.
No, I just don't understand what transmogrification means.
Transmogrification is transformation by magical means. I think you'd find your current policy quite lacking if you came home from work one day to find your dwelling transmogrified into an enormous conch shell by an evil witch.
Excuse me?
Not that people don't love to live in conch shells, but the disruption to your life as you adjust would be quite considerable.
I don't think it's that likely that my home would be turned into a conch shell.
Well, of course, that's just an example. It could be turned into really any kind of shell you care to name, and come to think of it, into anything that's not a shell either.
Anything that is a shell and anything that's not a shell. Might there be an easy way to say that?
Anything that's a shell and non-shell. Shell, not shell. Shell or not a shell. There's no comment. I'll work on it for my next pitch. Yes, we've had cases where their client's home was turned into a public swimming baths, a flock of seagulls, a wise but annoyingly obtuse old man, and worst of all, an ever so slightly smaller copy of their own house.
How is that the worst of all?
It's terribly hard to prove, but none of your furniture fits properly, and you become irritated with the people you live with much more easily.
Okay, so how could you help?
Well, that depends on the severity of the transmogrification and the level of cover. We offer a wide range of services from rebuilding your home to helping the wise but obtuse old man start his career in IT support.
You'd rebuild my home with magic?
I would not associate with that kind of magic. It's the sort of thing those fiendish criminal witches would do. No, my children and I would have to complete the construction ourselves.
Just you and your children? You couldn't possibly.
And you don't know just how many children I have.
I might just skate past that bit for now. How long would construction take?
Your house is a mite bigger than what we're used to, so bear with me. Right, carry the one, factor in injuries, and only about 30 moon cycles.
That's 2.5 years though. Where would I live? In a hollow tree in the woods?
It would be very unprofessional of me to invite you to stay at my house. You wouldn't fit anyway, not with all my children still living at home. No, well, as you're kind of on the larger side of our client base, we'd have to forego the standard accommodation and find you a nice warm cave.
So you expect me to live in a cave for the better part of 3 years while you and your children get crushed by house bricks and my beloved home goes and gets a degree in computer science?
Madam, if your home is transmogrified into a swimming baths, it would be completely inappropriate to send it to college.
By the way, what's the standard accommodation that I'm missing out on?
I've got to be honest with you, it's mostly conch shells. The market's kind of saturated at the moment, so I picked up a job lot of them for cheap.
Right, and who exactly is your conch shell supplier?
Oh, it's the old crone who lives up the mountain. You know, she's quite fashionable for a lady of her age. Wears a hat just like mine, but black, and with a broad brim. Can't to think of it. All of her clothes are black. I suppose it's easier to keep clean. She's a bit of a homemaker too. Always got stew going in that big pot of hers. And such a jolly soul, always laughing to herself. Although it's a strange old laugh, sort of like a cackle. Aye, she's a character. Why'd you ask? You don't think. Well, she did move here in the last quarter, and that's when we noticed the spike in. Oh my goodness, I've got to go.